Howdy guys, Kirk and Jay here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. In this video, we're going to talk about smooth mission finishes or steel trowel, hard steel trowel finishes, and what will occur if you decide to do it versus a fine sand finish or a skip trowel. So you want to do a hard steel trowel finish, also known as a Santa Barbara smooth mission finish, also known as a marble finish. I'll show you how we do it, guys. We're here to do a little bit of patch repair. Well, we did this about a month ago, this Santa Barbara smooth mission finish. And what we are doing is this particular wall here, we're going to redo. I'll show you why. I told the homeowner, I said, Greg, now, you guys they're doing all stone. They've been doing this stone for over a month. And I said, it's going to hit the walls in some places. It hit right here. So when I came and looked at it, I said, well, what we'll do is get all your stonework done. And once it's done, if there's any touch-up, we'll do. Here's a steel trowel finish, guys. We wet this right here to get the color just right. You got to wet it and mix the color. Anyway, you see that area right there. You see here. It goes around the whole house like this. Now, at the risk of whining about particular finishes, now what we do is I tell folks, we don't like to do these steel trowel finishes because you seal the wall. And when you seal that, it can't breathe. But when it actually does, with vibration settling, it'll check. This is called spider cracking, egg shelling. And I personally think it's cool looking. And I haven't seen a house yet with a steel trowel finish that doesn't have it. But what we have is some excess checking over here. I'm going to take you to it and show you. 99%, 99.8 came out perfect on this house. The owner loves it. In fact, I said, now Greg, you know, I don't like to do Santa Barbaras because they can have a tendency to spider check. And so we did the whole place, and he says, I like it, Kirk. And when I was working with old man Whitey 40 years ago, he'd say, Kirk, these finishes are to be painted, but not everybody paints them. If you could zoom in right here. Now, this is excessive spider cracking or egg shelling. I don't even accept this. So I was coming here to do that, and I looked at that, and I thought, whoa, front door? I'll tell you what, man, I'm going to redo this wall here. I can't just redo a wall, a patch within a patch. Can't be done, guys. So what I'm prepared to do is recolor this whole surface here because this is the only part of the house that's unacceptable. And wouldn't you know, it'd be in the front of the house. So what we do is generally when we do these steel trowel finishes, I'll wet the wall. I'll sometimes tell the homeowner, hey, wet the wall the night before. And what we want is we want the wall to get so saturated that it goes all the way to the base coat, all the way to the paper. We have 1 solid inch of stucco on here. So the fact that we got 1 solid inch of stucco, how long will it take to hydrate this wall? About 10 or 15 minutes. Then once that's hydrated, we don't want to put a color coat, regardless if it's a float, a skip trowel, let alone this Santa Barbara or the smooth steel trowel finish, because if we try to put it on right here where it's dripping, that's not going to work. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hydrate this for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then when the water has saturated enough and it's not dripping wet, we're going to go ahead and re-skim coat this. All right, guys, now I'm going to go ahead and spread this out. Some of you folks might say, well, there's skill involved with spreading the mud out. The skill is getting this wall wet the same. That's where the real skill is. If this wall is wet perfectly, it'll allow me time to I'll need 10 minutes to knock this top out. And I'll need an additional 10 minutes to get my corners, maybe. So again, this application, this is not the majority of importance. It helps, but again, if this wall is inconsistent with moisture, then that is what's going to dry this out differently. All right, so I'm going to get my left side of the wall now. I'm hoping this red tape doesn't come off. If it does, all my moves will have to be precision. Okay, getting ready to pull out that trowel out of my back pocket. And now I'm just smoothing it out, guys. A lot of elbow grease when doing this particular finish. I'm going to pull out the square trowel. I'm going to get both sides. There's the one. Get back over here. Get the other side. Okay, done with that guy. Now I'm going to start from the outside and work my way in. One more hawk should get me everything here. And all these walls are finished, so I don't want to get any slobbers on them. Okay, just the middle now. And once you guys got that, now you want to put the trowel not so much on edge, but flat. Kind of like doing a brown coat. That's what gives it the variations of color. That's what smooths it out. Now the fellow here, he said, "Kirk, I want it varied in color. Can you do that?" It's like, absolutely, because the more I trowel it, the more colors it becomes varied. So now we got this top done. I'm going over it, guys. I'm keeping the trowel flat, kind of like snowboarding. keep it flat. This is all called burning the wall. Again, this trowel is flat. That gives it the variations and the burning effect. That's done. That's third coat because we already put 2 earlier. Now we take our handy dandy $2 brush and go sideways and get these clinkers so that when I'm finally done, I pull this red tape. It's going to be pretty. I know that light's in our way, guys. Nothing I can do about that. What we're going to do is drop down and finish bottoming up this. Now this is a joint right here. We want to get that joint out. So what I'm going to do is take some of this mud and get that joint out first. Hot wall. And when we did this the first time, it was close to 100 degrees. That was a little difficult. So any of you stucco contractors watching, or any of you guys who just do smooth mission finishes all the time, what do you think? 1 coat or 2? Again, just because we do 2 doesn't mean that everybody should. That's just our method. And that method is devised so that the first coat could harden and the second coat won't pull it off. If you do 1 solid, sometimes you trowel it on real hard. It doesn't look like we're using, or I'm using a lot of pressure. But I'm using a pretty good amount of pressure. Any of you guys, if you're working in the super hot sun, missed it. Because this wall drying up. This is in the shade, and today is actually a cool day. But again, if you're working in 100-degree weather, guys, you got to hose the walls down prior. Otherwise, this will dry up way too fast. So What we'll do as soon as I get done with this, Jay and I are going to clean up this mess. We'll take it to the back and show you some more stuff. And this video is actually kind of ass backwards because we've got another Santa Barbara finish that we were in Santa Cruz. What's the name of that fancy restaurant, Jay?
I don't remember.
Sandalwood or Smokewood. We were there on my birthday about 3 weeks ago. And we were waiting for the tram to take us to the bottom of the restaurant. And there was another house that had this finish. And so I went over there and I talked with the homeowner and said, hey, you mind if I put this in a video? Because I'm trying to prove a point that this particular finish has a tendency to eggshell, or what is known as spider checking. It's the only finish we do that does that. Again, why? Because it's sealed. What I'm doing with my trowel now is I'm putting it flat. This seals it. This is Portland cement. When you seal Portland cement, when it gets wet, it expands, and then it has a tendency to spider check. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and clean this a little bit up and take you around. All right, guys, on another note, it's my birthday tomorrow. We are in Santa Cruz at Rio Del Mar, hotel we go to every year. Jay decided to take me to a restaurant. It's right there, and it's called the Shadowbrook. We were riding a gondola down, and Jay points out the side of this house. He says, well, Dad, there's a house with the same Santa Barbara smooth mission finish. You think it has hairline crack? I thought, I don't know. So while we were waiting, I ran up here, and I'm over here doing this. I'm looking at the wall, and the homeowner pulls up, and I was thinking, wow, she looks like a movie star. And so she caught me right here. I felt kind of stupid. She says, can I help you? And I said, well, I told her who I was. I was just admiring this, and could I put it in a video because this is what we do for a living. She said, sure. Anyway, you see this beautiful wall? This is like glass. You see these hairline cracks, guys? They're normal. They're normal, and this is what we're talking about with the Santa Barbara Smooth Mission Finish. Whoever did this, on a scale of 1 to 10, they were a 10. They were as good as it gets. Point being, like what we're doing on Greg's house. If the base coat hairline, the top coat hairline, it's not a big deal. It's simply cosmetic. I'll show you a close-up of samples because we already did this, but we didn't have audio. Anyway, these are samples right here, are what I got from Westside Building Supply. And these are, I said, dude, I can't use those. They're full of cracks. He said, they're all crack when you do the Santa Barbara or Smooth Mission finish. This is a steel trowel finish. This will happen. You put the first coat, you put the second coat, you smother it and it can't breathe. First time it breathes, that's what happens. Now, I went to Westside and I said, let me see some of your samples. And so they gave me these two also. Notice these are cracked like an egg. And that's what happens when you do the Santa Barbara Smooth Mission finish, because you trowel it on. It smothers it, so to speak. It can't breathe, and when it finally does breathe, you get this serious cracking. Now note these fine finishes. In the description, I'm going to put a video with, they wanted this, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. But I will do it. It's just like for the fellow we did the job, I brought these. I said, this is going to happen, whether you like it or not. Read the bag. It's on the bag. It says it will spider crack or eggshell. It's natural, normal. Does it compromise the integrity of the finish? No. Actually, old man Whitey told me 40 years ago when we used to work over that way in the city, we were doing old railroad stations. They turned into restaurants now. He says, these finishes are designed to be painted. But anyway, that gets rid of all the cracking. Even if you pull it up on your phone, it says right here, Santa Barbara finishes or smooth are known for spider checking and cracking. So if you guys want to do a fine finish like this or steel trowel or Santa Barbara, that's what's going to happen. Is it the end of the world? No, it just happens to spider crack or eggshell a lot more than the average because we're troweling it down. When we do this kind of finish, sand finish, it opens it so it doesn't crack. I just thought I'd explain that because so many people ask for it, and I tell them, guys, I can do it, but here's the result of it, and it's not the fact that we're, say, incompetent. It's just the nature of the product.
All right, folks, we want to thank you for watching how we do things in the stucco and plastering world. We really enjoy your questions and comments, so if there's anything you want to learn about that we can show you, please let us know in the comments. And as always, from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.